Chorus Voices, the podcast brought to you by Chorus, a fresh approach to community service. Settle in, listen in, and enjoy the voices who bring you reflections, musings, and stories from our community.
Hello and welcome to Chorus Voices. My name's Dan Minnarr, the CEO of Chorus, and beside me today is not Louise Forster, but a special guest host. Who are you?
Hi Dan, my name's Jamin. I'm the Head of Customer Operations at Chorus.
And tell us a little bit about what that involves.
So Customer Operations is a team that helps customers navigate the various systems and programs we work within. It also is responsible for all the service delivery functions within Chorus and responsible for managing key stakeholders.
So thank you very much for taking the time. The listeners with the high fidelity ears will notice this recording is sounding a little bit tinny, and the reason for that is we have found ourselves out doing an outside broadcast effectively. This whole podcast is recorded on an iPhone, and we've just been agile. We've found a moment, and that's what we're doing. And that's a little bit what we're talking about today. It's a story about culture and a very interesting organisation called Corporate Rebels. Jamin, tell us and the listener, who are these guys?
So Corporate Rebels are a couple of young Dutch gentlemen that started, I think about 4 years ago, and started telling stories about great transformations across the globe and what a great workplace was like.
Yeah, and that's exactly where it sort of came to pass that they popped up on our radar. They're pretty visible on the Twitter sphere and so on, but you actually met them in person, didn't you, before they came and did some work with us?
Yeah, so I was first introduced to them by a lady called Kate Fulton, who'd been consulting to Chorus. Kate told me they were in town, and I had the opportunity to go to a workshop where they presented for 4 or 5 hours, and they were fantastic to listen to.
Well, let's hear from them now. Pim and Joost, they'll introduce themselves.
My name is Morree, and I'm one of the founders of Corporate Rebels.
I'm Joost Minnarr. I'm the other founder of Corporate Rebels.
And just tell us, what's Corporate Rebels all about, guys?
It's all about making work more fun. So we started ourselves in very exciting jobs, I think about 3 years ago. But after 1-2 years, we realized that excitement was gone, and we started to become very frustrated. At that moment, we decided to quit our job and to find a way of how to make work more fun. We're doing quite a bit of... We are from Holland, so that's maybe a good introduction. So we find ourselves now on the other side of the world trying to help organizations and people within organizations to also make their own work more exciting.
And Pim, you've explored dozens of companies on your bucket list, and you've identified some real trends of really progressive, fun workplaces. What would be 2 or 3 that just really stick out to you?
The most important ones to me is to give people a lot of autonomy and freedom in determining how they can best do their job. In most traditional organizations, we think that managers and top management knows best, but I think in the end, those roles are important for people to create an organization where actually the frontline employees can do the things they want best. And these organizations, we see that there's a lot of freedom for those people to do that. This is one important thing, and getting people or give people the feeling that they run their own part of the organization. I think that is vital to any business now and in the future, is to organize yourself in such a way that people feel part of this small team that does their own thing and that is fully responsible for their own thing. And for Chorus, of course, that is in the communities. And I think a lot of other organizations should think about how they can apply this to their workplace as well.
Any real highlights from what you've learned in the last few years, Joost?
I think Pim covered it quite well. The highlight I find very interesting on a personal level is that you can see that in most of those organizations, people really put a lot of emphasis on personal development. So people really discover their own talents, their own mastery, and they have the room and the freedom freedom and the abilities to develop that further in any direction they want. And that comes back to, I think, entrepreneurship and being able to develop yourself and the business and the organization. And that brings really great energy within the organizations. And all the really progressive ones we visit, you can just feel it. You can feel it from a vibe from the people we speak to. And they're so proud working for a certain organization, proud of working for the little entity Pim was talking about.
You spent a night and then a day with a bunch of people from Chorus. Couple of observations, guys?
Well, I think there's a lot going on at Chorus at the moment. A lot of workload, or high workload, a lot of ambition, but also very clear a purpose of what you guys are here for and what you guys want to be in the future. And today, I think that for me that was the most inspiring moment to learn about that vision and to see also how people had examples of how it is in some pockets already put into practice. At the same time, I think that needs to be communicated more, so everyone in the organization is totally crystal clear on where the organization heads towards. And I think if you can put that message across, then you have a very good chance of becoming a really engaging workplace.
That's awesome, guys. It's been an absolute privilege to have you here and spend the day and a bit of last night. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So listeners would have heard a fair bit of background noise. Actually, what was happening behind Pim and Joost was a big group of Chorus people who had come together for a workshop. Jamin, tell us about it.
Yeah, so we got Corporate Rebels to come in and talk to us about what they'd learnt over the last couple of years. They've spent several years exploring great organisations across the globe and identifying what are the attributes that make an organisation a great place to work. So the workshop itself, we went through their top 8 attributes, and then the approach is to consider those attributes within our own context to see what we could easily apply within our own workplace to create our own Chorus story of being a great organisation to work at.
And really, the takeaway for me, and you've heard a bit of it in what they were just saying, is this idea that great workplaces are places where people feel they really have ownership of their part of the business or the organisation, and that's how people feel sort of inspired. They get to do things that they find interesting or that they're passionate about, and unsurprisingly, that's the best kind of place to do work.
Thanks, Dan. That's exactly right. Look, my big takeaways from the Corporate Rebels is actually all about allowing people to be involved in their own destiny, and it's really about shifting controls from traditional hierarchies to shifting it back to the individuals. And the way you make that not become chaos is we're led by purpose and values. So you create these really supportive teams that truly understand what they're about and they're empowered to do something about it. So it just creates a really enjoyable work experience when you know you're making a genuine and deep contribution to the purpose of that organisation.
And you can just hear the guys talk about, when you're in an organisation that works like that, you can just feel it. And on the day, we got a bit of a sense of that, and we're going to catch a bit more audio from some Chorus people and Pim and Joost talking some more about their insights.
When we were recently getting a team leader for a role that I used to be in, we interviewed, but then they were told that if they were successful in that round, then they come in to meet the team. And basically the whole idea of that is that the team unofficially interviews them. They get to meet the team, see if they would like to work in that environment. The team gets to see if they think that person fits the team, and then we choose. So it's not my decision who is to a certain extent because it's my responsibility, but they select their manager.
Yeah. So first you do a sort of pre-selection, and then you let the team themselves decide whoever they want to work with. One more radical example that we've come across is a Swiss IT company where about 300 people work, and they do select their own manager to a quite extreme extent, because they select all of their leadership positions in a democratic way every single year. So all the way up to the CEO, everyone in the leadership position from a team leader to the CEO gets democratically elected every single year. So, talking about scary practices, that is definitely one. Where as a CEO, you need to be supportive to the organization. If you're not, if you're just there for personal interest, then probably you won't make it through the elections every single year. So it's an interesting one because it changes the entire dynamic within an organization and make sure that people actually become more supportive to the people they are leading. Sometimes they also organize things called fuck-up festivals or something similar, where people share their biggest fuck-ups in a setting like this.
We need one of those.
And there's more companies doing that, whether it's a failure festival, because I know you're not that happy about swearing. In Holland, we definitely are. So we call it fuck-up. But at least creating a podium for people to share their mistakes, to learn from it, but also to create a culture in which people actually dare to admit their mistakes. Another organization that is doing that very openly is Ben and Jerry's, and they have a cool video clip on how they actually celebrate failures and mistakes in their organization.
I'm Cindy, and I'm the Group Manager for Reporting and Analysis.
And you were at the Corporate Rebels session, and what was the thing that stuck out for you?
The importance of having fun at work. I guess you will be more motivated to come to work and make a positive contribution if we are having fun whilst doing so. And then also the possibilities of how we can structure Chorus to make it more fun.
Because they did talk about a few of the things that you can do at work to make the place more fun. What did any of them stick in your mind?
I guess giving people more ownership and power, so empowering people to do what they are best at. And I guess along with empowerment comes enjoyment. If you really enjoy doing that type of work, or you're really passionate about aged care or working with our customers.
My name's Chris Boyd. I'm team lead for gardening and home maintenance at North Perth. What I took away from it was a managing style, as far as taking a step back and letting my staff do what they do. They need what they need to do, and production seems to be better. We had a video on there that we watched from a bakery, and I took away that style, that taking a step back, letting people make their own decisions, productivity goes up, coming in and putting my ideas forward when I need to, but letting them make their decisions because they know what they're doing.
So it's really interesting listening to that and reflecting back on your earlier comments, Jamin, about the sense of purpose and sort of autonomy that people respond to in these kind of workplaces. It's very much what we talk about at Chorus, regardless of whether it's to do with, community interaction or a service delivery experience, or simply being an employee or a volunteer at Chorus.
Yeah. I agree. Look, I think the core of what we're trying to do is there's massive change going in the industry, there's massive change within Chorus itself, and we can either do change to people or we can actually involve them in the change. And in my experience, the best way to get people involved in the change is to actually invite them into the problem and invite them into helping define the solution. And if people can participate, they can own the outcomes, and you get a much better engaged team that really understands why we're doing things. And not only that, they drive towards a greater success.
And this is very much what we're trying to do at Chorus. It's not always how things play out, and it may not even be mostly how things play out, but this kind of experience and the inspiration from the guys from Corporate Rebels have given us something to really shoot for in creating a workplace that people really want to work in, and ultimately an organisation that does amazing things in the community. It really is quite inspiring stuff that these guys have brought to us, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the real powers of Corporate Rebels is they give nice little sound bites. They can tell some great stories, and they can tell you how those stories came to unfold and what was the outcome of them. And within Chorus, we're in the process now of generating our own stories. But as we build up those stories, having external influences to drive us is fantastic.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's really what kind of Chorus Voices is all about, isn't it? You know, sort of sharing these stories from the real world across Chorus. So look, thank you, Jamin, for coming along and sitting in Louise's chair. It's been great to have you as the co-host of this episode of Chorus Voices.
Real pleasure. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for listening to Chorus Voices, the podcast brought to you by Chorus. If you like our show and wanted to know more, check out our website at chorus.org.au. And please leave a review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and it helps others find us and enjoy the podcast as well. Join us next time for more inspiring stories and news from our community. Chorus, a fresh approach to community service.